couple of years ago, we were up around this part of the world playing at the Livid Festival, 95, right? Okay, this is great. This is great. Some of you were there. Perfect. I got something I want to explain to you. Some of you might remember this. You're going to get your question answered right now. We go out, going to play the Livid Festival. We've been living in New York, cooped up in the practice room, working on what became our last record. So we've got all these new songs we want to play, and we got like 5 of them that are like ready to be taken out and played live. And so I'm still getting the lyrics memorized. You know, I'm changing them, rewriting stuff. Band is reworking stuff. Like, Henry, we're going to put the chorus, like, you know, you're going to sing an extra 4 lines, and we're going to put the chorus farther down. Let's try it that way. We're still working on this stuff. But we agree on 5 songs we're going to throw into the set and turn people on to what we're working on. First song that we're going to play is a song called Disappearing Act, which didn't come out on the record. It's a B-side or something. But anyway, it's a good song. And I have the lyrics pretty well set in my mind. And I realized if I can get the first line of the first verse out, the rest of the song will flow right out of me. I'll be fine. So I'm memorizing that first line. Gotta get it right, gotta get it right. I'm distracted, not attracted, you attach without connection as I self-serve my diffracted mind. Ba-boom. I know, very, me and Sylvia Plath. There you go. So, warm-up is finished. Our road manager, brutal Rick Smith. All right, you puffs, let's be having you. He's always really abusive. Come on, you ladies, get up there. So we run out there, and there's like 12, 13,000 people. I'm like, all right, fucking rock on. And we go slamming into this song, and I get the first line out. I'm like, yes, I did it. I'm into the song. The rest of the song's going to go great. My nervousness disappears. I'm having a great time. I love this song. Audience is cool. We're playing it good. Great. And so we're rocking out, and we get the end of the verse, and the next is a bridge section to get to the chorus. No problem. I go for the bridge section. The rhythm section goes for the bridge section. The guitar player goes for the chorus. Because we're still getting the song together. It's not that he's a bad guitar player. We're still learning, And so he goes basically into the song. You see the rhythm section close their eyes in concentration because now the guitar playing is wrong and it's very distracting. So you see the drummer like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Come on, Chris. And the bass player's like, come on, you can do it. And Chris immediately sees his mistake. And you see Chris go, fuck! And he like reworks his stuff. And he gets back into the song and makes it through, catches up with the bridge about like on the 3, Okay, no big deal. This happens in music all the time. We do it nightly. The drummer spaces out, he tries a new roll, and we're like, what was that about? And all of a sudden we have to figure out new mathematics on how to get through the song. So everyone's on stage with like calculator going, okay, the one is now! And we all dive on it, and the crowd goes, whoa! It's like almost a mid-air collision. Like, yeah, that was close. Okay, moving right along. I mean, that's what happens, And so, no big deal. It's usually no big deal. Guitar player's mad at himself because he's a total perfectionist. Okay, now this little deviation in the song made all the lyrics disappear from my little screen. I forgot all of them. And I was so mad at myself for forgetting them. I was so pissed, I couldn't even come up with anything to improvise with. And usually I can fake it. If someone says, here's a beat, here's a riff, come up with some words, I can go. And I can just like come up with something. Moon, June, spoon, something. You know how it is. You can fill it out and kind of get by. Or you can go the Boston Journey or Kansas route. Hey, hey, whoa, whoa, tonight, whoa, yeah, hey, come on. That shit works great. And if you can sing, you can make Come On, Whoa, Hey, Tonight last for like 8 measures, man. Come on! Yeah! People be going, fuck yeah, that was awesome! That was some deep shit, man! When you say, come on, whoa, ho, man, I cry when you do that, man. So, now, some of you are somewhat acquainted with the kind of music we do and the kind of lyrics we're doing there and the kind of delivery I'm doing. I'm not a whoa, ho, hey, hey, come on tonight kind of guy. I'm, trying to write some lyrics that got some meaning, so I don't have to disgust myself when I sing them. So I don't have any of that baby all right stuff. Although I listen to a lot of that baby music because I think it's cool. I just can't do it. It's just not me. So what am I going to do now that I can't improvise anything and I have about 2.5 minutes worth of song to get through? Here's what I have to do. I have to basically make an entire audience of people in broad daylight think that a song that sounds like verse, bridge, chorus, verse, bridge, lead, bridge, verse, outro is really this song where the singer sings a verse, 2 lines of a thing that sounded like a bridge, and the rest of the song is a weird instrumental. So how am I going to do that? What am I going to do with like this 2.5 minutes of time, which is like an eternity on stage when you are fucking up the song? I'm going to go for the big rock maneuver. I'm going to go split 1/3 of the song by spending 1/3 of the song with each guy in the band rocking out with him. Okay? So I run over to the guitar player to check him out. And in my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, check him out! Brisbane, get down! Look at this motherfucker rock and roll! Yeah! And people are like, what's he doing? And the guitar player is looking like, what the fuck are you doing? Because I do not come over and go, oh, rock on! I've never done that. This guy's been playing with me for a decade. I have never done that. And I'm just like, shut up, just keep playing. You're the one who started this thing, you fucker. And so I'm like, 39, 40, 41, 42. Okay, there's 1/3 of the song. I run over to the drummer. All right. Yeah. Okay. I'm doing the thing where the snare hits rhythm. Look like, oh, check him out. And so we're like, what the fuck are you doing, man? I'm like, just keep playing. All right, get down. 39, 40. Okay. Run over to Melvin. All right, from Brooklyn, Melvin Gibson. Melvin's like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Sing your shit. I'm like, shut up, just keep playing. And we get to the end of the song, I go, dun, 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 dun. I go like, yeah! And the crowd goes, roar. And I'm like, thank God they went for it. Now, a couple of weeks ago, when I was in Perth, I think, or Woonona, I think, I told this story. And a guy came up to me and said, I was at that show. We didn't know what the fuck you were doing up there. Thank you for answering that question. We were like, what is his problem? You're running around doing all this shit with your head, that kind of chicken thing, like, rock out! That rock and roll hoochie coo thing. But I don't have any of that in me. I don't even do the big stage raps. Like, all right, Buffalo! I mean, if I came out here and all right, Brisbane, I'd be getting chairs thrown at my head. I mean, we just don't play that kind of music where you can go like, all right, get your t-shirts off, ladies, We'd have like feminist groups picketing. We would just get, that's just not what we do, So it was a bit much, but I got us through the song because nothing can go wrong up here. You have to watch us and go, man, those guys were great. They rocked my world. Their shit was together. Cool. So here is the dumbest thing I ever did on stage. Rewind the tape to several shows before that, the one in Brisbane, or Livid, wherever the exact location of that show is. We are now, this is about 8 months before, we are in Santos, Brazil. First time we had ever played Brazil. And I am so excited to be there. I've never been to South America. I'm amazed that we're finally getting to play in Brazil. And we're playing an outdoor festival, free admission. They're expecting 30 to 50,000 people. The opening bands are local Brazilian bands, so we're very excited to see like some Brazilian percussion stuff happen. Then it's going to be us. And then after that, Evan Dando and the Lemonheads will be playing, which is a kind of a weird yin-yang there, But Evan's cool. He's a good friend of the band, and we dig him, so it's going to be cool to see Evan. And the headline band, the one that you've been waiting for, the one you crawled out of the jungle to see, Mr. Big. Don't figure that, right? And so we're on the bill with all these bands. I don't care. I'm there to play in Brazil. I think it's all cool. And I realize that my purpose in life on this night is to be Godzilla and to eclipse every band that's going to be on stage and have 50,000 people walk away going like, Mr. Who? Evan who? Rollins Band. So I'm getting into a super hype, psycho WrestleMania mode backstage. Like, this is a big one in the jungle. Santos are going down. You know, it's a rumble in the jungle. Be there. And, you know, the road manager comes in. All right, yeah, puffs, let's go. Like, and the rest of the band's like, get out of his way. He might sweat on you or something. I'm already sweating, you know, it's Brazil, it's like just so, you know, damp and moist, and I'm just already sweating, and I'm so hyped, my blood is pumping, man, I'm the tiger let out of the fucking cage, man, I'm gonna fucking rock this place. So we come on stage, I'm like, fucking A, man, South America, like the stars and the moon are out, the beach is there, everyone's there, the lights shine down on us, I'm like, into this, man, having a great time, haven't even done anything yet, I'm already having a great time, so cool. The band comes slamming down on the first like notes of the song, huge, mega rock riff. I'm like, so intense, man. I come up to the front of the stage, my head goes down, my knee comes up, bam! Knocked myself out in front of all of us. Thank you, yeah. Hit the deck. You know, and it's not like I was out for like 2 minutes. I was like, you know, you're out like kind of, you know, doing the funky chicken eyelids fluttering. And I open my eyes, and I know I'm on the ground. That's all I know. And I get up. And some of you have been hit in the head. You know how it takes you half a minute to figure out anything. I mean, it's really confusing getting popped in the head. You're like, I mean, you don't know how to talk. You don't know where you are. It's really... like the little birds going around your head in the cartoon? Yeah, just like that. So I get up, and all I know is someone is beating me up. And so I have to protect myself. So I'm like, okay, don't hurt me anymore. You win. Whatever I'm sorry. Whatever I did, I'm sorry. Because someone just hit me with a baseball bat or something. And so I'm like, look, I know, but I'm sorry. What do I do? Where is he? I turn around, there's these 3 guys behind me, guy holding a guitar, drums, and a guy holding a bass. And they're playing, and music seems to be emanating from not exactly the amps, but just in the air. It's like, I'm like, God, these guys can't even play. I'm like, God, they look so familiar. And I see them, they're all like, are you okay? I'm like, and I look around, there's all these people, thousands of them going like, fuck, you know, because I must look really intense. And I'm like, what? Who are these people? What are you staring at? I go, God, this is like a gig or something. It's like I'm at a gig and someone's beating me up. And this is all like happening within seconds, you know. I'm slowing it down here so I can describe it. This is happening very rapidly. I'm like, okay, this is like a gig. This is a microphone. I am at a gig. I'm in a band? I am in a band. These are the guys in the band. This is like an audience. It is an audience. Okay, I'm on stage. We're at a gig. Someone's beating me up. Where is he? Where are we? Oh yeah, it's the gig in Brazil. We're in Brazil. A guy's beating me up on stage. Okay, then I become aware that my knee hurts. I'm like, oh, ow, ow. I just kicked my own ass. I put my hand up to my eyebrow to feel this thing, and my finger goes into my eyebrow. I touch my skull. And you know, that's kind of gross, right? But when you're like, I was like, that's so cool. God, feel that. I wanted to go each of the guys like, check me out, man. Touch my skull. Would you touch my skull, please? So you can touch the big guy's skull. Go ahead. And I look down at my hand, blood. I look down at my chest. I'm just bleeding. I look down at the ground. There's like drops of blood. I got the most amazing buzz off this. Now, just to give you a little glimpse into the infantile Nietzschean Darwinian mindset that I entertain 24/7, I figure, guy on stage, amazing, powerful, testosterone, muscular music pumping off the PA into the crowd, big lights on the singer guy wearing only a pair of shorts, got some muscle, got a lot of sweat going on, big thick neck, all these veins going boom, 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 big vein coming down the middle of his forehead, sweat flying off him, face full of blood. I figure every woman in there is going to be going, oh, I want the scene of the animal man. Oh, they're going to feel the maternal clock just going, poof, 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 take me now. Well, that's the bullshit world I live in. I figure natural selection. They want the guy who's going to get them through the jungle nights. Do you want this sensitive poet guy? Fuck no, you want the animal man. Animal man with 900 million dB throbbing through the amps, with bleeding like some warrior god. That's what I thought I was up there. When actually I'm, just like some underweight guy with tattoos that are now fading with age, running together with like a face full of blood, bumming everyone out. I expected to look out in the crowd and see women crawling over men to get to me. Beautiful Brazilian women discarding clothes as they went to cut down on time between the fertility rite that we're going to have as soon as they get on stage. I didn't meet a single woman in Brazil in 3 days, except the woman who tore my ticket and put me back on the plane to Los Angeles. I'm like, hi, how are you? Thank you. I got on the plane, and that's it. People were walking away. They're like looking at me going, oh, gross. People are like looking at me that sour milk face like, oh, God, it's disgusting. And so, I get back into the song like a verse and a half in. I get back in on the chorus and actually finish the song. And the crowd's like, yeah, now what happens? First song, you come out and you knock yourself out and you bleed, staggering around the stage looking all confused. Now what are you going to do? And the guys in the band are like, are you okay? I'm like, I better be. I didn't fly like 10 hours to come down here and go, oh, my head hurts, I'm going home. Because nothing can go wrong up here. You got a head busted open that needs like 12 or 13 stitches. What are you going to do? Go home? No. You finish the show. 55 more minutes to go. We pound through that set like there's no tomorrow. I bled the entire time. Just because it's a head wound, the blood keeps coming up to your head. I left blood everywhere. I turn around like that, the drummer's like, fuck you. Blood like all over him. Like the blood, drum kit had little flecks of blood drops all over the ground. I was in seventh heaven. I wished every gig was like that. So anyway, did the show, thanks, good night, and everyone's like, yeah, get out of here, blood boy, don't need it. Evan comes out, crowd goes. Here's a classic example of I'm the last guy to know. A few years ago, me and the guys in the band were invited to come out and play in Russia. And we've never been there, so of course we're like, yeah, let's check out Russia, this is gonna be cool. And so weeks later, we finish our tour, it ends in Holland, then we have to fly the next day to Moscow to do these 2 shows, and then we're gonna go home. And so the next day, bright and early, we fly out of Amsterdam, and hours later we land in Moscow. And we get out of the plane, and we are given like rock and roll immigration. We are whisked to one side and shot through this line because we're the visiting rock band. So we're being treated like a little royalty. We're like, all right, we're like Elton John for a minute here. Just zipping right through. And I walk up to the baggage carousel where the baggage is coming out, and I'm marveling that they have a baggage carousel. I thought it was gonna be ox-drawn cart. Like the woman with the beard and the big wreath of garlic. Get in before sundown, werewolf. Because that part of the world, right? So I'm like, wow, they have a luggage carousel just like a real airport. And so I'm waiting for the luggage, and on either side of me, this huge man appears. I'm not tripping, it's like these 2 big guys. I'm like, whoa, and they're standing like right next to me. I'm thinking, oh, it must be like the secret police or the cops, and they don't like us, they don't want a rock band to be here, so they're gonna like fuck with us the whole time we're here. So I'm like, how you guys doing? And they're just looking straight ahead. They have sunglasses on and they have suits and ties. Makes them look really scary. I'm like, damn, man, this is really intimidating because they're standing right next to me and they're looking straight ahead. So I look to one side and the guy has a laminate clipped to his jacket. and it says something in Russian, and then it says Rollins Band, Moscow. I'm like, whoa, are you guys like my bodyguards or something? They're like, yes. I was like, cool. But now I'm thinking, am I in a place that's so hairy I need 2 big dudes for bodyguards? Oh no, what have I gotten myself into? So our luggage comes, and me and the guys in the band start moving towards the little gate where you get out to where the people are waiting for their loved ones to get off the plane, and the cabs and the transportation is there. So we get out of that little gate, and there is like 150 people there to meet us. And they have pictures of us, and they're waving flowers, they have their cameras, and they're like, yay! And they run towards us to meet us. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? These 2 bodyguards kind of get in front of me like, step back. And all these kids are like, whoa, because these guys are big, and all these kids are like, they're kid size. They're no match for this big footballer-looking guy with sunglasses and a suit on. I mean, these guys looked really intense. And the kids like, just back up. And they're just scared. And so there's just this weird standoff. I go, fellas, it's cool. Just fade back. And they fade back, and everyone goes, yay! They come up, and I'm meeting people, and it's all very cool. They're giving me flowers, and they're hugging me, and doing the photos. And, it's welcome to Moscow. It's very cool. And I got my sweatshirt tied around my waist, got my backpack on, and I got my luggage at my feet there, and someone starts pulling on my backpack, like, getting it off me. I'm like, no, I'm going to hold on to that, thanks. And then someone starts pulling on the sweatshirt. I'm like, no, don't. No, I need my sweatshirt. It's like the only piece of warm clothing I have. Someone's trying to take my luggage. I'm like, don't do that. Be cool. And more people are pulling on the sweatshirt. Like, please, we'll trade. I'm like, no, I don't want your fucking sweatshirt. I want my sweatshirt. And one guy tries to make off with my backpack, and that's when I just got pissed. I just like ripped my arm over this way, like grabbing my backpack back. And when they fucking get off me. And these security guys, they're triggered by like shiny objects or like fast movement, and they immediately like snap to life, grab me by like the back of my shirt and started running with me. And I managed to grab my suitcase and run with them as they like bulldozed a path through these kids, and they got their arms in front of them like this, and they are running for the door that gets you out to the sidewalk. Our drum tech, Ken, who you'll hear more about in a while, Ken's arm gets tangled in my backpack strap. So Ken is along for the ride. And so Ken and I go like stampeding over these kids. Like, oh, sorry. We're tiptoe over the punkers. And we're just getting like, just run through this mass of bodies. And they push the doors open, and we're standing on the sidewalk, and there's the van that's going to take us to the hotel. The door slides open. Ken and I are just kind of shoved into this van, and we both kind of fall on each other with our luggage, and the door slams shut, and one of the guys gets in the front seat, and there's already a driver in there, and he hits the gas, and we take off. And I look out the rear window, and there's the rest of the band looking at me like, hey, what the fuck? I'm like, bye. And we just went tearing out of there. And I looked at the driver, who's our promoter. I said, hey, man, that the rest of the guys. And the security guy turns around and goes, don't worry, there's another van for them. Okay. And so we get to the hotel, me and Ken, this security guy, and our promoter who speaks English. And we walk into the hotel, me and Ken, and it's like 1 block from Red Square, so we know later on we're going to go check out Red Square, and that's going to be super cool. And we walk in, and one of the strangest sights I've ever seen greeted me. About 15 of the most beautiful women I have ever seen in my life, dressed really well, are just kind of lounging around the lobby of the hotel, just sitting around like the fall catalog or something. Like Elle magazine had opened up and come to life. And they don't really look like they have anything to do. They're just kind of posing out and looking really beautiful. And we're kind of like walking through them. It was really weird. And I went to the promoter guy. I go, what's that about? Are they like airline attendants waiting to go back on the plane or something? Or having a modeling thing here? And he goes, no, those are prostitutes. And they work in this hotel. Mafia owns them. And if they hear that American accent, they'll be all over you because they figure you have money and you're their ticket out of here. And I was thinking, what would that be like? I'd like my room key, please. I just get like descended upon by like beautiful model-looking women like clamoring and like kind of clutching at you. And your line would be, no, thank you. Please step away from me, beautiful woman. No, 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 no. We won't have any of that, please. Ma'am, what do you think you're doing? You should be ashamed of yourself. But either they didn't hear me or they could take one, well, more accurately, they probably took one look at me and knew I was a very low-rent type of person. And we went up to our hotel rooms without beautiful women tackling us or anything. Yeah, I escaped unscathed. And so I went to my room, and a few hours later, we all met down in the lobby to go to the Mafia Casino for our set meal for dinner. So we get there at like 10 p.m. for an 11 o'clock dinner, and there's vegetarian food for the vegetarians, there's meat for the real people. And so we're waiting, and this scene that we walked into, this casino, is like out of a bad B movie. First off, you go through a metal detector, and there's like these heavy guys with like black shirts and white ties with like the big mafia hat and the rose in their lapel. You're like, oh, what's up, Mr. Corleone? But they also have these big scars across their faces, and they're like missing ears, and one of their eyes are gone. They're like these really scary guys, like 15 years in salt mines, really badass guys. So you're like not giving him any attitude whatsoever. So we're waiting for the food, and we're all pretty hungry, so we're eating lots of bread and drinking beer and orange syrup and water and waiting for the food. The first people to get fed, like an hour and a half later, it's like now the next day we are still waiting for dinner. The first people to get fed were the vegetarians. And they get this cold, pickled cabbage that stank like an old sock from here. I mean, it was unbelievable. It hit like every other plate on the table, and we all went, oh, our first glimpse of Russian food. And we all looked at it and went, oh, wow, all yours, man. God damn. With this dollop of mayonnaise on the top. And it was just horrible. I mean, Trotsky cut this shit up. It's so old. And I start laughing. I'm like, oh, well, there you go, you little vegetarians.
I don't like to eat animals. I like to protect the animals of the world. I only eat vegetables.
Go on, veggie boy, eat your shit. Go on, you non-warrior pussy. Go on, you little gastronomical coward. Lay into it. Lay into your 900-year-old cabbage. Come on, hungry boy. Let's see that spoon and fork start slashing the air. Come on. I'm laughing at him, knowing without a doubt in my mind that us meat eaters are going to get some awesome slab of some intense, like caribou or reindeer that a beautiful woman shot with a longbow on a pair of long skis that morning. And she's going to be dragging it back to the kitchen, hacking off a leg off this fine beast and throwing it over the spit and turning it herself all evening. And it's going to get so hot in the kitchen, she's going to rip her top off, exposing her bountiful breasts. And she's going to tie her golden hair back in one huge thick rope, and she's going to bring a steaming, hot, bloody plate of this felled creature onto my plate, along with a fucking big horn of mead. And she's going to say, here you are, O warrior god. Here's your felled creature that I took off the tundra myself. And I'm going to have a face full of blood and gristle, and I'm going to eat my meat and drink my meat. And then she's going to say, and now we're going back to your room, and you will have me, O warrior god. That's what I think is going to be happening. Okay, about 7 minutes after that, 7 minutes after the vegetarians got their crap, us meat eaters, we got our crap. We got this greenish meat-like stuff that smelled like a dead animal. It was like roadkill or something. And so it gets slapped down in front of us by a kind of mean-looking woman who wasn't bare-chested or had a big lock of golden hair with the meat, and it was quite a letdown, actually. And so now that we all have our food in front of us, we all sit very quietly looking at Rick, the road manager, because that's what happens when you go on rock tours. The road manager becomes Big Daddy, and none of us can eat this crap. So we all look at Rick like he's supposed to know something. Rick, I can't eat this food.
What do you want me to do about it, you puff?
You know?
Eat your fucking crap.
He's just like brutal. He's eating it out of spite. He's so pissed at the rest of us. And none of us could eat. So we OD'd on beer, water, orange syrup, and white bread, and went back to our room. And so my room the heat is going full blast. The window opens this wide, so I can't get much cool air. So I'm regularly going into the bathroom, filling glasses of water, rehydrating myself, trying to drink myself to sleep, to give my stomach the illusion there's something in there, like I'm drinking porterhouse, filet mignon, Caesar salad, drinking water. And so the next day we go to the venue for the show, thinking, oh boy, there's going to be bountiful food there. Okay, there was just more bad old food. So we drank Coca-Cola and ate bread with mustard on it. And okay, enough sustenance to go on stage. And we played the show, and it was cool, and the crowd was cool, and they dug us, and we dug them. It was great. And then the next day, we have another show. But that night, we go back to the Mafia Casino, who is co-sponsoring the gig. And we ate more bread and syrup and water, and it was just diabolical. And, no big, goddess Nordic chick came with my big slab of elk or anything. I just had more crap put in front of me, and none of us ate again. We, picked at some cold vegetables that they had. They're 800 years old. And we go do the next show, and now we're all just like, I hope I can hold my guitar. I'm delirious from lack of food. And meanwhile, I've been living in my hotel room, filling myself up with water. Oh boy, am I eating a lot of food now. Oh boy. Sure is good to be back in beautiful Italy where they just pile the pasta on. Yum, 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 yum. Finish the show. The next day, we leave to go back home. And I go to LA, and it took me 24 hours to get from Moscow to Los Angeles with all the layovers. And so I'm now going from New York to Los Angeles. I'm halfway across America. I am bent over in my seat. My intestines feel like they have been wound into a knot the size of a bowling ball or smaller. I'm like, oh, fuck, it really hurts. And the guy next to me is a doctor. And he goes, you having some problems here? I'm like, God, my guts are killing me, man. He goes, what is it, feels like gas? And I go, no, it feels like they're contracting. It feels like someone is punching me in the stomach. He goes, okay, where have you been? I said, I was just in 2.5 days in Moscow. He went, okay. You didn't drink the local water, did you? Okay, and when you do the exact wrong thing, you don't really want to admit to it. But I did do that. So I went, I had some, which says, yeah, I kind of did it, but it's not like I drank 4 gallons a day. I said, yeah, I had some. He goes, well, the water there has a bad reaction to some people. It's kind of like when you drink the water in Tijuana. There's stuff in the water that the locals can deal with because they were born with it. But if you're a visitor, you can have some problems. Did you drink a lot? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, you'll probably have some discomfort for the next day or so, but you should be okay. All right, thank you. And I just spent the rest of the the flight oh fuck, I'm dying. All the way back in the cab back to the apartment, oh, kill me now. And so the next day I feel a little better, a little woozy, but I'm better. And then 2 days later I'm back to normal. So I see the guys. We had another trip to go down to South America. Next time wasn't the time I knocked myself out. And I get together with the guys in the airport on our way to Rio de Janeiro, and I said, hey, fellas, man, how did you get home? I mean, was that intense or what? And they're like, what do you mean? There's a lot of layovers. I go, no, God, weren't your stomachs just killing you? And they went, no. What do you mean? I'm like, oh, man, I was bent over. Oh, Christ, I thought I was going to die. And one of the guys goes, what did you do? Drink the water? I had some. Henry, you're not supposed to drink the water there. It's like when you go to Tijuana or something, It has a bad reaction if you're not ready for what's in that water. Didn't you see all of us? We were drinking bottles of mineral water that we all went down to that convenience store before the show and we all bought like 2 liters of mineral water. I didn't see that. And like one of the guys says, Henry, I didn't even brush my teeth in that stuff. I mean, it's Moscow. Who knows what's in that water? God, we all had bottles of mineral water, man. Where were you? I don't know. You fuckers. You know? And like, why not? Why didn't anyone tell me? I'm with these guys. I'm with them for 3 days. No one ever said, mineral water, mineral water. There's never a discussion about bottled water at one time in the whole time there. And I'm just imagine the meeting that took place. I could just see them all, road manager, tech guys, band, all in a tight circle. Rick handing out bottles of Evian. All right, lads, here you go. Here's your mineral water. Don't drink the tap water. It'll make your guts turn into a hard ball. Don't do it. Here. Oh, wait, no. Here comes Henry. Okay, hide the water. Hey, fellas, how you doing? Oh, yeah, Henry, you're the man. Hot animal machine. Do it. I'm a liar. Yeah, you're great. You're the man. Ooh, big muscles, big guy. All right, we'll see you later. Fucking jerk off. Anyway, look, fellas, don't drink the water here. Keep on to the mineral water. If you need more, come to my room. I've got like 30 more bottles stashed under my bed, but don't tell the shithead, okay? Great. And so I'm like the last guy to know. Now, a few months ago, we make our second trip to Russia. Much to the disagreement of my worthy constituents, we got the offer, you guys want to go back to Russia? And everyone in the band goes, ooh, 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 I don't. No one did, except me. I was like, ooh, 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 I do. And the guy's like, why? I said, because it's interesting, man. I mean, how many times are you going to get to go back to Russia? They go, hopefully none. I went, oh, come on, man, that was fascinating. And they're like, oh, God, I don't want to go back. The food sucked. And I said, man, we're going. And I was like, let's not. I said, no, we're going. I'm the boss, right? We're going. I was like, great, we're going to Russia. And we went again. And again, the mafia co-sponsored the gig. So the set meal is at another casino, a nicer casino this time. And there's the old obligatory metal detector. And you go through it, and our guitar player sets it off. So these big bow-tied men like pull him to the side, and they whip out the metal, those handheld, like, whee! And they find a penknife on him, 2-inch long penknife. And they take it away from him, and they give him a card, like a claim check. You know, when you check your coat or your hat at the door of the restaurant. And they give him a little card, a laminated card for his knife. Instead of having a little coat icon on it or anything, it had a number and an icon of a Luger, a gun, handgun, and a number. Then you realize this is the weapons check card. That so many people are checking major hardware, they put a little gun on that card. And so Chris didn't bother to go back for his knife. He just kept the laminate as a souvenir of Russia. I mean, that really tells you a bit about where Moscow is at. And so anyway, we're marching up the stairs for the meal. And we're all going, oh no, here we go. And I'm going, oh, ha ha, you little vegetarians are gonna get another big fist up your ass again. Ah, ha, ha, ha. Hey, what about you and your green pile of meat? I'm like, shut up. That's never happening again. The food was amazing. Meat Eaters got homemade beef bourguignon. And the woman who came out of the kitchen, I made this myself, you know, check it out. It's like some of the best food I've ever had in my life. We were getting espresso sent to the table. We're drinking Perrier water. We're having big tuna salads and leafy green leaves of spinach and stuff. And we looked at the promoter and we said, why didn't we get this the first time? He goes, someone in your organization requested traditional Russian food. And we said, we did? He went, yeah, so we got you the real shit. And we said, do you all eat that stuff? And they went, no. It is acquired taste. And so we were there for another 2 days. We ate like kings, man. They have all kinds of good food there. You just have to ask for it. And I didn't drink any of the water out of the sink. In fact, I brought 2 bottles of mineral water with me. And we had a great time. In fact, after the show, I sat on my windowsill of the hotel and looked out the window down at the Moscow River and saw the White House reflecting into it, and I read from Crime and Punishment. And I had my own little Moscow experience all alone in my room. Really cool. But anyway, that's a little wrap on old Hank's the last fucking guy to know. I want to tell you this, well, at this point, I think it's almost like a folk tale. And I really wanted to tell you this story because it took place here in Melbourne. And it's about one of your own. So I figured this is the place to tell this story. The time we came out here to do the Livid Festival in November '95, a couple of weeks before we came out here, I was in Los Angeles, and I got a phone call from a local TV crew from here. I don't know the channel, I forget the channel, but I got this call, and they said, we saw that you're coming to Melbourne very soon, and we've been covering the case of this young man named Marius Bannister, who's at the local hospital here, and he's battling leukemia. And he's been on our channel a few times, and we're covering him and rooting for him. And recently we asked him, make a wish, or say 5 things you want. And he talked about how cool it would be if he could meet you. And we're wondering if you could take time out of your very busy schedule to go to the hospital and meet Marius. Maybe sign a photo or to, shake his hand or give him a t-shirt or something. I said, man, I am there. Gave him my manager's phone number. I said, here's the man to call, set it up, I will be there. Not knowing at all what I was going to say to this guy, but absolutely refusing not to do it. I mean, how are you not going to do it? How are you too busy to have time to hang out with a 17-year-old boy battling leukemia? I said, I will be there. And I immediately got really nervous after I hung up the phone, like, oh my God, man. Whew, that's really heavy. I've never done anything like that before. So weeks go by, we play next door at the Palace, and the next day is a day off, and the TV guys come to the hotel, and they said, okay, here we go. And I went down to this hospital, they go up the elevator, and I'm standing outside of Marius's door with the head nurse and Marius's grandmother. And the nurse says, here, you gotta wash your hands. And she produces this this container of this yellow-green liquid, and I dunk my hands in, I'm scrubbing up. I'm like, why am I doing this? She said, well, Marius is going through chemotherapy, and the germs on your hands can infect him because his resistance is down. That's what chemotherapy does. I'm like, right, I know that. So I'm scrubbing my hands up, and she says, I don't think he knows you're in town today. I don't think he's expecting any visitors, so this will be a bit of a surprise. My stomach just turns into a knot. I was nervous already. I'm like, oh man. Okay. And she goes, are you ready? I'm like, yeah, I guess. And I'm getting all jittery. And she knocks on the door and opens it and says, Marius, are you awake? And I hear this voice go, yes. You have a visitor. Can he come in? And I hear this voice go, okay. She opens the door and said, go meet Marius. I'm like, oh boy. Whew. I walk in, I make a left, and I see this boy sitting on a bed, no hair, and these tubes coming out of him. And he sees me, and I see him, and he sits up, his eyes go wide, he looks at me and says, fuck! And I'm looking at this guy, and the nurse had told me before I went in there, she said, the chemotherapy has made, the inside of his mouth ulcerate a little, so he may bleed a little when he talks to you. And he doesn't have any hair, so he looks a little beat up, but don't worry, you can handle it. I'm like, okay. And sure enough, Marius had no hair, and his lips were kind of dry, and I'm like, whoa, what an intense-looking guy. And the one thing I couldn't do was lie. I didn't know what I was going to talk to him about or say to him, but I knew I couldn't lie, because someone in that position, they can read bullshit like that fast. And so I just kind of looked at him, and he went, fuck. And I went, how you doing, Marius? My name is Henry Rollins. Heard you needed to talk to me. So he could think, when Marius Bannister needs something. Hank Rollins flies 14 hours when he hears the call, God damn it. Sat down on the edge of his bed, shook his hand, looked around the room thinking, okay, where do I go from here? And all I could do is tell the truth. I looked around the room and went, Marius, this room is fucked. And I was hoping he would laugh and not go, why are you telling me this? And he was so brave. He goes, yeah, I hate this place. And we both started laughing because the room is really dingy and the curtains are drawn and the place is tiny and the bed takes up most of the space and it sucked. And I went, oh man, this place is the worst. He goes, I hate this place, man, I hate it. And he's laughing, I'm laughing, I'm like digging this guy immediately. And so I go, so what's a day in this place like? And he goes, well, you know, everyone comes to visit me, friends from school, grandma, mom, you know, nurses, nuns, everybody comes in here and they read to me and they give me a cool towel for my head, and everyone's great to me, and I try and be in a good mood when they're here so they feel okay. But when visiting hours are over, they leave, and I spend the night by myself, and it's hard for me to sleep. I said, why? He said, because if I'm going to die, I want to die with my eyes open. I don't want to die when I'm asleep. I have never had anybody in my life say anything that intense to me ever, especially coming out of the mouth of a 17-year-old. And you guys, you know how we are. We say all kinds of tough macho shit all the time. Honey, I want to die with my boots on. That's the kind of guy I am. Here's this 17-year-old kid, you know, obviously pretty shook up that he's in this hospital, looking at me saying, if I'm going to die, I want to die while I'm awake. I'm not going to die when I'm asleep. Man, that was so intense. I realized immediately, he's the teacher, I'm the student, he's the mountain, I'm the molehill. And I'm sitting at the foot of his bed like, oh no, where do we go from here? I want to start asking him advice. Marius, I can't get laid, what do I do? You know, I'm an aging alternative icon, where can I go from here? Help me, Marius. So I'm looking around the room, you know, looking for something to talk about. And I see all these photos of bands against the wall taped up there. And the biggest one I can see with my bad eyesight is the picture of the Beastie Boys taken from some magazine. And I go, the Beastie Boys! And he goes like, yeah? Looking at me like I'm nuts, because all of a sudden I just ejaculated, the Beastie Boys, out of nowhere. He thinks I'm a Looney Tune. I go, I know them, hoping he won't say, so? Hoping he'll go, really? And he said, you do? I went, yeah. They're my favorite band. And the poor guy immediately had to qualify it. But you guys are cool. I said, don't worry about it, man. It's okay to have a favorite band that I'm not in. You know, it's okay, but, you know, it's cool. Not that okay, but we'll tolerate it. And he goes, man, those guys are so great. I go, yeah, they are great. He goes, you know them? I go, oh, yeah. Wow. I said, I've toured with them. You've toured with them? I said, yeah. So I told him like these tour stories about going out with the Beastie Boys and how cool they are, because they are really cool people. One of the easiest tours ever, because they're all smart, they're all funny, and when they hit stage, they kick some huge ass nightly. And I would watch them almost every night. I'd play, shower off, eat some food, and get right on the side of the stage and stand next to their monitor man and just get into it. And it was the funnest. And I'm telling him stories, and I'm making him laugh, because we had Cypress Hill on this tour as well. So it was a hell of a bill, and every night Cypress would open, then we'd play, and then the Beastie Boys would, you know, kick it. And watching Cypress Hill every night is just amazing, because that guy Be Real is just the man. That voice, his whole thing, like halfway through their set, like the plug in the DAT player would come loose, and the set would come to an immediate halt. You know, doog, doog, doog. And most bands are like, oh no. You know, a band like us, nothing's wrong. Nothing's wrong, you know, we'd be faking it. Their thing is, you know, the DJ, 2 microphones, and a DAT machine. It's a very simple setup, so when one thing goes wrong, it's very apparent, because there's only like 5 working things on stage. And so the DAT machine goes off and the music goes away, and there's silence on stage. And instead of going like, you know, you're fired, you're fired, you're fired, Be Real just comes to the edge and says, guess what, y'all? What? We fucked up. The crowd loves him for this. He has them in the palm of his hand. I want y'all to say, Cypress Hill, y'all fucked up. Cypress Hill, y'all fucked up. All right, I think we got this shit plugged in. All right. And they go right back into it, and they just kill everyone. They're amazing. And so I'm cracking up Marius, and I'm telling him these stories, and I'm putting a smile on his face, which I imagine is my job, you know, to cheer the guy up, because he's sitting in this room all day, and, you know, I want to break him out of that for a minute and make him forget it for a second and have a laugh on me. And so I'm telling him these stories, as many stories as I can think of, and I'm giving him some shit because he missed the show the night before, and I thought we played pretty good. I go, so where were you last night? In bed, right? He's like, yeah. I said, you didn't come to the show. What's the matter with you? You don't like me? He's like, no, man, look at me. Come on, I got tubes coming out of me. I'm like, it's really not much of an excuse. You know, we're playing here in about a year. You will be on the guest list for the show. You're showing up, right? He's like, oh, yeah, I swear to God I'll be there. I said, okay, because I didn't see you last night. And next time you don't show up, I'm just going to come and kick your ass. I'll kick your ass in front of your friends. It'll be really embarrassing for you. And he's like, no, man, I swear to God, I'm going to make it. I said, that's good. Don't make me come over there. And so we talked a while longer, and then I kind of ran out of steam because the intensity of this room is a lot to deal with. The specter of imminent death leans over the two of us. I mean, leukemia is a tough one to beat. And the young man has got a good chance, but man, there's a good chance you're not going to come out of there too. And I'm very aware of that I'm sitting in the room with a very brave 17-year-old guy with more balls than I will ever possess, put up against an adversary I have not ever been anywhere near matched up to. And he's just pulling it off with this amazing flintiness, and he's got humor, and he's got a lot of class, and he's a sharp guy. And I'm like sitting there knowing I'm outmatched by a 17-year-old, and I'm like, damn, this is a stone cold honor hanging out with this guy. But the death thing is there. I mean, that's why he's in this room. They're trying to keep him alive. It's not like he has a cold or something. It's fucking leukemia, man. And so I kind of ran out of steam. I was like, and I kind of sagged to one side. And he, being the stronger of the two of us, he helped me out. He said, Henry, I appreciate you coming by, but, I got some stuff I need to do pretty soon. So I'm like, yeah, me too. I got stuff I got to do. You got stuff you got to do. We're both guys with a lot of stuff to do. And I said, okay, so, well, I'll leave you to it. And the nurse came in and took a photo of us. And we shook hands, and we exchanged addresses. And I said, okay, Marius, now that I got your address, I know how to come over to your house and kick your ass if you don't show up to my gig next time. I said, you got to get out of this place, Marius. Fuck leukemia. You're way stronger than leukemia. I know you're going to beat this. Do you know you're going to beat this? He goes, absolutely. I go, we're betting on that. So we bet on it. I said, I'll see you next time. Absolutely. He goes, that's right. I said, okay, Marius. And I walked out of there, and his grandmother was there. She's, oh, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I'm like, oh, save it. I got time for this. It's okay. And I walked around St. Kilda for the rest of the afternoon just tripping on this guy and his bravery. And not with this sentiment of, oh, I love life and every day is a blessing, but it is. But I'm just thinking, what an extraordinary circumstance transforms an average 17-year-old kid who has an interest in judo and surfing and his friends and all youthful 17-year-old boy pursuits. What transforms a guy like this from the average student boy in Australia to this amazing, charismatic guy staring at a pretty intense reality. And it's a horrible circumstance that makes you or breaks you. And it's interesting to be around someone who's riding the wave of sheer terror and getting a tan. I mean, the guy is amazing. And so I just thought about him the whole time I was here, got back to America a few days later, did a bunch of university speaking dates, and I was talking about this guy I just met named Marius Bannister, going, man, coolest guy I met this year. And like, whoa, what a man. And a couple of months later, I get a letter from Marius's mother in the mail, and it's a card with a letter inside it. And the card has a picture of Marius in his schoolboy outfit. And I was looking at it going, Marius, check out that tie and that cap. That Australian schoolboy outfit's hilarious, It's what makes Australian men so intense. They spend their youth growing up in hot pants. And by the time they're in their late teens, they're really aggro. Looking at my pants, mate, bam, they're just tough. It's those pants that makes you tough. All that, kidding around the schoolyard. So anyway, looking at Marius with his tie on and everything, and it says underneath his photo, Marius Bannister, born into eternity, and it had some date where Marius died. He died a little while after I visited him. And then I open up the letter, and it's from his mother, and she said, thank you for meeting my son. I don't know what you all talked about, but you certainly gave him a lot to ponder, and he really liked meeting you, and it was, thank you so much. We know you're a busy guy, and you're on tour, and we can't believe you took the time and made the time. And I don't know what people think I'm doing on these tours. I mean, yeah, I'm busy. Aren't you busy? We're all busy, but there's certain things that are priority. And she said, thank you very much. Can't tell you how much it meant to us that you came and did this. So I wrote her a letter back, and I said, just so you know, I met your son for an hour. And I'm never going to forget him as long as I live. I was honored. And you hung out with him for 17 years, so you have to consider yourself really lucky, because you got 17 years with him. I only got an hour, and I feel lucky. You must feel like the luckiest woman in the world. And I left it at that, and I sent it away, and never forgot the guy. And I wanted to tell you that story because we're in his town. And last time I was here, down next door playing a show, we dedicated a song to him. And I met some of his friends after the show. They came up and they said, yeah, we're in his class. That was cool that you did that. Thanks a lot. And one of your many local heroes, so you got another one that you know about that you might not have known about when you walked in here. His name is Marius. Don't ever forget him. Can't really understand what you're saying. I hope it's something nice. Well, the acoustics of the room, all you hear is like, rah, 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 rah. And it could be like, oh no, you're fucking great, man, keep going. Or like, I thank God that you're stopping soon. My ass is killing me and you suck. Because it is possible to have too much of a good thing or way too much of a mediocre thing or diabolically too much of a shitty thing. So I try and walk that line very carefully. If you've ever seen the band that I'm in play or heard any of the records, I do a lot of yelling and screaming. So there came a time I crossed that barrier into my 30s when all the parts didn't recover so quickly. Knees hurt the next day, back hurt the next day, everything started hurting the next day, throat didn't come snapping back like it used to when I was 22. Because I've been yelling and screaming on stage for 17 years, right? So, you start to realize that you're changing, you're becoming an adult, you're becoming ancient, you're becoming an old man. You're heading towards Eric Clapton town. And so you have to start taking care of yourself, and so I needed to get a throat doctor to look at my throat to make sure I'm, doing the right thing or something. So we went to a couple of throat doctors, and they deal with, classical singers or Broadway singers, and they looked at my throat and went, oh my God. And I said, okay, here's the record, and here's how I sing. And they heard like 40 seconds and went, okay, here's your CD, get out of my office. I can't even deal with someone like you. I'm like, okay. And we went to two places, and they said, we don't know what to do with your yelling and screaming monkey ass, so get the fuck out of here. And so we did some calling around, and we found out that there's a doctor in Beverly Hills, California, who deals with Ozzy Osbourne and the guys in Kiss and the guy in Whitesnake and all these rock and rollers who go, wow, tonight, and do all that shit. And I said, that's got to be the guy for me. So we book an appointment for me to get my throat looked at, and I go to this guy's office, and it is like rock and roll throat doctor. The receptionists are these three slamming Southern Californian surf babes. And I walked about, in these situations, I go for like utter like Boy Scout astronaut mode. Like, excuse me, ma'am, my name is Henry Rollins, and I have a 3:30 appointment with the doctor. And the girl's like, we totally know who you are, and it's like so cool you're coming to this doctor. And like he's like ready for you now, so you can just like totally cruise back there and go check him out. You rock, totally rock. I'm like, oh, thank you. So I go back, and they go, just go into that room and like chill until he comes in. I'm like, okay. And I go into this little room, and I sit down, and the doc comes in, and he's wearing the leather headband with that mirror thing. Like some doctor from 100 years ago. I'm like, get the fuck out of here with that thing. And he goes, well, they really work. And he's like this really intense, very serious guy. Well, Henry, your manager sent me your record. And I listened to it, and Pavarotti won't be losing any sleep about losing his career with you around, that's for sure. And that's like funny for him. I'm like, all right. Well, let's have a look. And I open my mouth, he sticks a flashlight down there, sticks my tongue down, he's looking around, and he goes, okay. Whips out the notepad, gotta ask you some questions. I said, sure. Shoot. He goes, okay. On a weekly average, how much alcohol do you drink? I go, 0. And he went, really? What, you're in recovery? I went, no, I just don't drink. Never drank. Well, I got drunk like 3 times when I was 17, never liked it. Okay. How much are you smoking? Marijuana included. Week to week, basically. How many packs a day, and if you're smoking marijuana, like how much? I went, none. He went, really? Not even pot? I went, no, I don't smoke anything. He's like, okay. Now, Henry, this question I have to ask you, I ask all my patients, and it's totally confidential. But I really need to know so I can properly treat you. What kind of drugs are you doing? I went, caffeine, the occasional aspirin. He went, Henry, you saw the people on my wall, right? I go, yeah. You have an idea with the kind of people I deal with. I am not a stranger to drugs. Cocaine, heroin, all kinds of stuff. I deal with people who are active addicts. They do very bad things, yet I treat them regularly. But if I give you the wrong prescription and say you're doing cocaine, it can give you a heart attack. I said, no, I know that. And if I did drugs, I'd tell you because I don't want to die from taking some anti-inflammatory throat thing. So I don't do any drugs. And he's like, I'll believe you. But if you ever really want to tell me what's going on with you, you'll let me know because I'm not a cop. I will not report you. I'm your doctor. It's all in, sheer confidence. I said, I know. Okay. He goes, okay, fine. He goes, Henry, let me tell you. Your throat looks like you chain smoke, drink hard alcohol, do coke, and yell and scream all night. Oh, really? He goes, it's the second worst throat I've ever seen in my life. I go, who's the worst? He goes, it's confidential. And he goes, come on to the next room. We're going to take a photograph of your throat so you can see. So he sticks this optic thing down my throat, which is lit and everything. And he goes, hold a high note. Go, ee. I went, he has my tongue pulled out with a piece of cloth. I'm like, ah! And he goes, okay, that'll do it. And he rewinds this video cassette. And he goes, okay, I'm going to show you some healthy vocal cords, and you're going to see yours, and you're going to see why I'm asking you these questions. And so we see a healthy pair of vocal cords, these two blue-white tendon-like things, like hard tissue, and they go like this. And he goes, okay, here's the person holding the high note. They go like that, and then they come apart. And here's a person with a paralyzed vocal cord. So you see one move and the other one doesn't. And he goes, Henry, here's your vocal cords. These two purple-red, swollen, about to burst like bratwursts, covered with these divots and all this white slime. I'm like, oh my God. He's like, yeah. He goes, that's why I asked you the questions. I mean, Henry, my God, it's a wonder you can even talk. He goes, you talk, I wince. I went, wow. He goes, now here's you trying to close your vocal cords, and the vocal cord's going to go. I went, oh, man, what am I going to do? He goes, well, we're going to see why you have so much inflammation. Have you been singing lately? I went, no. He goes, okay, it's probably acid reflux. You probably are drinking too much coffee or eating too much hot food before you go to bed. It's bathing your vocal cords in acid. We're going to give you this industrial strength antacid, and you're going to check in with me in 10 days. We're going to check you out. Now, I need you to go down the hall and go see Vivian, who's the head nurse lady, and fill out the paperwork. I said, cool. So I go down the hall, and I knock on this woman's door. I go in, and there's this woman behind a desk. She goes, you're Henry? I go, yes, ma'am. I sit down. She hands me a clipboard with all this writing on it that she's already filled in. And she says, okay, do you see the two lines here down at the bottom? One says Social Security number. I said, yeah. She goes, see the one beneath it? It says signature. I went, yeah. She goes, okay. On the line that says Social Security number, I need you to write your Social Security number there. Do you know it? I went, yeah, sure. She goes, okay, write it there. And then you can spell your name, right? I went, yeah. She goes, okay, well, I need you to write it underneath there. And I said, oh, do you think that since I have tattoos and I'm in a rock band that I'm an idiot? She goes, yes, now here's the pen. And when you get done with that, let me know, and I'll show you the other things you have to fill out. So I immediately know that this lady and me are going to be buddies for life. That's the kind of humor I really like. I love the idea of some woman who doesn't even know me fucking with me like this. I'm like, you're all right. You got balls. We're going to be buddies. So I said, okay, ma'am. I finished with my thing, and here's a paper clip in your hair. She's like, oh, very funny. Rock guy, all right, there you go. And how about that mustache you have on your face with the magic marker? I'm like, oh, okay. How about the post-it on your forehead? And we get into this epic office supply fight. The door opens, the doctor walks in. I've got a bottle of liquid paper about to draw an X on her forehead. She's got the stapler, we're both trying to recover because the teacher's back in the classroom, and he's like, are you two okay? We're like, oh, we're fine. Just fine. Yeah, everything's cool. I said, okay, Vivian, is he done with the paperwork? He's like, yes, he is, doctor. And I said, okay, Vivian, I'll see you soon. She's like, in your dreams. And I was like, you're all right. And I'm walking down the hallway, and he goes, okay, you're gonna come see me in about a week and a half. And we're walking down the hall, and looking at all the gold and platinum records that are all over his wall. Ozzy Osbourne, Whitesnake, Al Jarreau, Michael Jackson. They're all clients of his. And we get to the exit. He's walking me out to the hallway. And right over the exit door is this 10 platinum CD set from Michael Bolton to him. And I was like, oh, Doc! damn, man, how could you? He's like, what do you mean? How could you to take care of the voice of the Antichrist? He's like, Henry, Michael's a very nice guy. I'm like, oh, come on, man. You know, oh, he's the worst. He's one of the reasons why it's so bad out there for real music. Henry, if you don't have anything nice to say, you know what they say. I'm like, I know, don't say anything. So he says, Henry, I'll see you next week. I said, okay, doc. And I came back the week later after taking the prescription, and, you know, we've been going on ever since. So after that, I went out on the road and went back to New York and went all these places. I started emailing, or faxing rather, the doc these psychotic faxes. Because the guy doesn't have much of a sense of humor, so I'm trying to loosen him up a little. So I invent this totally bogus scenario that's going on in his office. And I turned the 3 receptionists into these really aggressive, really nasty women. And I turned the doc into this really abusive guy who hates musicians, who's only in the business to make a lot of money and retire. And I turned Vivian into this woman with the Fatal Attraction vibe, a psycho woman who's only into me, okay? And I started faxing him like once every 2 weeks, once every month with these totally outrageous faxes. And I just like would power them right out of my power book, you know, from obscure hotels all over the place. And I brought 4 of them with me. I have 4 of them in chronological order, you know, through the time period, and I'm going to read them, and they're very brief. And these all went to the doctor, I shit you not. And the first one I ever sent is the first one I'm going to read, and I CC'd it. In case he tries to destroy the file, there's backup. And I CC'd it to Dr. Benjamin L. Knapp, Department Head of Divergent Behavior Studies, Frozen Bridge Gap, North Dakota. There's no such thing, but, you know, there's backup in a file in case he tries to kill me or something. Dear Doctor, my main concern in faxing is, of course, about the uproar that Vivian's intense behavior is causing in your humble place of practice. I know you've gone over it with her time and time again, that I will be back, and that staging a hunger strike isn't going to bring me back any quicker. I'm very sorry to hear that she put her fist through a good number of the platinum discs that grace the walls of your offices. I heard that the entire crew at the front desk had to broadside her and restrain her before they could give her the injection. What can I say? I don't know why I have this effect on women. Well, on just Vivian, really. But I don't want the fact that she set up a candlelight vigil in the waiting room to reflect badly upon me. For I, as well as you, sir, am a professional, and am used to seeing this. And as you probably know all too well, Michael Bolton has a following of strange women from the Midwest who get crazed on Dexatrim and stage all-night Tupperware parties in his honor. These bolt heads, as they call themselves, are very extreme and dangerous when in groups of 300 or more. It is said that when they really get going, their momentum is virtually unstoppable. I'm going to let you take it from here, Doc. There's only so much I can do without litigating, and no one wants that now, do they? Cordially, but watch it, Henry. This one sent several weeks later just to keep him off balance. Dear Doctor, thank you for faxing me from your vacation. Your story about sticking your arm down Ozzy Osbourne's throat was great. I was amazed to hear that he was carrying around that beer bottle in there for 3 years. Well, sir, I've been doing all the throat exercises that you advised. The regimen of bourbon and cigarettes is hard, but I'm sticking with it. I must admit, when I yell at the top of my lungs in everyday conversation as you instructed, it is a bit off-putting. But I can remember you clearly telling me, Henry, the pain will give your voice character. Well, sir, it hurts like hell, but I'm keeping it up. This one came several weeks later. Dear Doctor, I'm sorry to bother you with this fax, but every time I call your office, the woman answering the phone just says, what the hell do you want? And when I ask for you, she says, he's busy with some idiot with dyed hair, stupid tattoos, too much money, and no talent. Just like you, Pavarotti. And before I can tell her that I do not have a single dyed hair on my head, and that my savings are considerably less than ever since becoming a patient at your alleged place of practice, she starts playing Mary Had a Little Lamb on the phone's keypad until I hang up. So until I come back in for a checkup, this short but important fax will have to do. What concerns me at this time is not Vivian's repeated and vulgar attacks on me in public places. I've since hired a bodyguard to protect me from her random psychotic episodes. It's costly, but what price? Peace of mind. No matter. No, sir, the main thrust of this particular missive is to remind you again that you can change the very course of contemporary music right there in your office. You can make a significant change for the better. And after the litigation and possible but short incarceration is over with, your practice will be stronger than ever and more profitable than you could ever believe. I see the plan running like this. You call in Bolton for a routine checkup and tell him that you see a small spot on one of those golden vocal cords of his. And that's when you put him under after telling him you're going in for a closer look. It's then you happen to miss with your scalpel and accidentally slice his vocal cords cleanly, thus rendering him silent. And I know what you're thinking. I know you're going to say what you always say when I recommend such a stunt. Henry, he's money in the bank, just like all you overpaid idiots. Bolton's my retirement. He's the big kahuna. But just think of what you'll be doing for mankind, sir. Never mind the wrath of the bolt heads. Sure, you'll have to do a Salman Rushdie for a few years, but it'll be worth it. You'll get so many new patients who will align themselves with you out of respect. And I know that I single him out of all your clients, and I do remember your suggestion last time I was there. Henry, why don't you pick on the moron from Whitesnake? He's tried to stiff me twice. No, sir, it's Bolton. Please, doctor, consider this one more time. P.S. Don't let Vivian see this. Any communique from me tends to make her upset and violent. And this is the last fax I sent over there, and it's actually to Vivian. This was like last summer. Dear Vivian, it's been so long since I've heard from you, besides the heavy breathing calls at 3 a.m. I don't mind. It's good to know that you're out there. I've been living in New York City, a place you know all too well, no doubt, judging from the responses I get from the local chapter of the Hells Angels on 3rd Street when I mention your name. Crazy Vivian! They yell out, pounding their chests and randomly attacking passersby. A tribute, you understand. You have no idea how many times I've tried to get through to you at the office. The babes at the front desk are just flat out abusive. It's a wonder that you get any business at all with the way they act. I call and ask for you, and either I'm told, hang on, Pavarotti, and I'm put on hold until I hang up, or the gal plays the opening notes of Satisfaction on the phone's keypad until I hang up. I can only hope this fax gets through to you. I scan the newspapers looking for the headline about the Boltman losing his voice. You know the plan, Operation DeBolto, that you and I have been working on over the last year. I never see anything about him having an accident while under sedation. You're not wimping out on me now, are you? I try and get this through to the good doctor, but he just brushes me off with lines like, stop faxing me unless your throat hurts, you idiot. So I guess it's you who will have to change the course of contemporary music. I know it's a heavy load to bear, to be the one to silence forever the mighty Michael Bolton, but don't think for a minute that you're unable to do it. I've seen you do some pretty amazing things in my time. Like the time you opened an entire case of Corona beer with your teeth and drank them in under 5 minutes' time. Or the time you pushed over all the motorcycles in front of the Thunder Road Cafe and stood with your arms crossed waiting for their owners to come out, and the way they ran away in terror. Images like these don't fade from the memory all that quickly, my dear. Hey, you might not have asked to become a living legend, but destiny has handed this to you, so deal with it. And another thing, I faxed the good Dr. Sugarman today because my throat was giving me trouble. You wouldn't believe the treatment he put me on. Is it normal for him to prescribe that patients drink 1 quart of white vinegar an hour for 3 days? I'm on the 10th quart and it's murder. Remember the tattoo I was getting of you? It came out looking great. I got thrown out of a restaurant for showing it off the other day because it was in what they called a private place. 3 Hells Angels had similar ones, but they weren't as cool as mine. I logged on to your fan club website, and there was a picture of you smoking a filterless Lucky Strike. I thought you said you stopped smoking those when you got out of San Quentin. I've known you so many years, and you're still a mystery to me. Well, don't get in any fistfights in the office, and stop telling patients, I heard your record and it sucks, now get out of my office. It's bad for business, Henry.